Let's bring in Dan Hoffman. He's a former CIA station chief in the Middle East, now a Fox News contributor. So where do we go from here, Dan? We know that the ceasefire is dead. The attacks are ramping up on both sides. What's your prediction about what happens next?
Well, I can tell you from my own experience, having been through this in tours of duty in war zones in the Middle East and South Asia, when enemy forces strike our bases, the president turns to our intelligence community, not just the CIA, but military intelligence as well, NSA, overhead reconnaissance, for all the intelligence we have to determine where these strikes were launched from inside Iran that killed our soldiers, who gave the orders to launch those strikes. Tactically, we need to know those things. And then strategically, what Iran hopes to accomplish by launching those strikes. For sure, from Iran's perspective, from the perspective of Iran's hardline IRGC-dominated regime, this is an existential fight. They want to reduce or eliminate altogether U.S. influence in the Middle East, and the Strait of Hormuz is the center of gravity for that fight. But Iran is launching strikes against our Gulf allies, particularly against U.S. bases. We saw that not just with these strikes that killed our service members, but with previous strikes as well. Iran wants to dominate the region, and the United States is going to have to respond. The president, I think, right now is probably taking in all of this information and then looking at an array of options to take the fight to Iran in a more escalatory way.
Iran went after that Kuwaiti desalination plant, and as Lucas was just saying, I mean, the people there in Kuwait depend on those plants for their drinking water. It's pretty hard to get it in the desert otherwise. The president could have bombed the power plants and the bridges in Iran, but he held back on that. They seem to be civilian targets as much as military. Is it time to start going after power plants in Iran?
Well, I think the president will look at that option and a host of other options as well. The real essence of the challenge we face, remember, we got into this war to induce Iran to negotiate in good faith on their nuclear program, their ballistic missile program, and their support to proxy terrorists. They've done nothing of the sort, and we have kind of fallen into this war against Iran, a war of attrition in a sense, because Iran is trying to disrupt the global economy by closing the Strait of Hormuz. And so the question for the Trump administration isn't necessarily just tactically what other facilities, infrastructure, power grids we might disable or kinetically strike inside Iran. It's how do we achieve our objective of inducing this regime to stop its war against the United States and our allies? I think that's the larger question, and I'm sure the president is going to talk to the Israelis about perhaps even resuming decapitation strikes. If these Iranian hardline leaders do not want to come to the negotiating table, then perhaps the next round might.
The Revolutionary Guard obviously is running the show pretty much in Iran right now, and the Revolutionary Guard, as I understand it, is enmeshed in the Iranian economy. They run the grocery stores, the gas stations, just about everything has IRGC members, you know, with their hands out taking money from the till. So as long as they've got that many people profiting from the way things are right now, it's going to be really tough to uproot and get them to just kind of say, okay, sorry, we give up. We'll go back to being nice.
Well, that's what I think that's Iran's strategy at this point. And look, they've got an practically infinite level of threshold for pain that they're willing to inflict on their own military and their own citizens. Their economy is in tatters. It's been that way for years. It's worse now than it's ever been. But the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps doesn't care about that. What they care about is staying in power. And we're not seeing very many protesters on the streets right now, and they are in absolute control. And you're right, John, that is the wickedly complex challenge that we face right now as the president seeks to find the right policy answers for what Iran presents to us.
The former Secretary of State and CIA head Mike Pompeo was on Fox earlier and had some observations on what's at stake here. Listen.
I also think it makes it unbelievably plain to the world that you have to win this. That means you have to take down Iran's capacity to inflict pain and terror all across the world through its proxies, through its missile system, and of course, as President Trump often reiterates, through its threat of nuclear weapons.
I guess that's the goal of the United States now, but is it achievable, Dan?
Well, that is the goal for sure. And look, we tried to do it through negotiations. President Trump tried to entice Iran to the negotiating table with a lot of offers of economic gain, commercial opportunities. We withdrew the blockade from Iran. We allowed Iran to export oil at market prices. And Iran was never interested in negotiating in good faith. So I think Secretary Pompeo is absolutely right about that. And I think that's where the Trump administration needs to go back to the drawing board right now, re-examine all the options we have to bring about the desired end state that we want to achieve. What we don't want is to leave Iran in control of the Strait of Hormuz and with a military that has been beaten badly but is able to rearm and reconstitute and present threats to us in the region and beyond.
Our Joey Jones says he thinks it's time to just stop all communication, stop all diplomacy, and just hammer them until they come to their senses. But we'll see what the approach is that the administration and the Department of War take. Dan Hoffman. Dan, it's good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.